and how their utilisation of Skodel has affected them.
So hi everyone, I'm delighted to be joined here by Maggie Dennis from Danesfield Primary School in Marlow, Buckinghamshire. Maggie is the school's pastoral support lead and has been teaching within primary school settings for over 20 years, we've established. Maggie's going to answer some questions on pupil-led mental health and wellbeing for us, and in particular the use of our partner Skodel and how that's helped. Thanks Maggie, thanks for joining. I hope you're well.
Very well, thank you for having me.
Not at all. Maggie, how well would you say that your school staff and pupils have got a good understanding of mental health and well-being?
I'm really glad to say that I think we all across the board, so the school, the staff, the students, I think we have a very good understanding of it so far. I think even prior to what we've seen in this year, this wonderful year of 2020, you know, with the whole pandemic and everything that's happened, even prior to that, it was recognised from everyone, from our governors through head teacher, senior management team, and all the way, you know, through the whole staff team, that, you know, mental health, not only just hugely important, but we do need to be discussing it in the way that we discuss physical health. That, you know, conversations about mental health and so on need to be as, should we say, acceptable and normal as a conversation would be as to how fit you are healthily, you know, physically and so on. So we're very aware as a staff team as well of the very alarming statistics that we've got, which indicate that half of all adult mental health problems do actually start before the age of 14, and that 1 in 10 children are likely to have a diagnosable mental health condition. Now that's, you can get those statistics anywhere, and knowing that, there's no way that as a school we can't do something, you know, with regards to that. And I think we feel quite passionately that across the board this is something that schools need to be taken on board, and a lot are. I think it is becoming more apparent. The children are thankfully at a stage where they also are very understanding of the need for good mental health. So in conversations, you know, we've talked about what a growth mindset is, and we've got our children talking about having a stronger growth mindset. You know, you might ask a child as to, you know, how they might deal with a certain issue, and, you know, we've had answers where they say, well, because of my growth mindset, this is how I would approach it, which is brilliant. So we're trying to include that kind of language, that understanding in all that we do, so that it becomes just another very normal part of life, not even, you know, something that you question.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. And so you've now been using Skodel since September?
Yes, we introduced it when we started back in school in September, yeah. And what we've done to begin with, because, you know, this was a new thing, we wanted to sort of see how it would work. The whole sort of programme, you know, looked great certainly on paper. The idea of being able to give children a way to check in, and also the fact that it offered a way of reaching all children straight away, and giving them a chance to respond. So we introduced it with our year 5 and year 6 children, so the upper end of the school. So 60 children in each year group, 60 year 5, 60 year 6, and all have, you know, been shown how it works, that they, you know, they receive an email and they, you know, pop in their sort of answers to sort of let us know how they're feeling. And that's been done in a very sort of, you know, very relaxed way. It's like, this is a way you can tell us how you're feeling. It's good to know, we like to know. And that's, you know, it's also a private thing. It's a way of you telling us something that no one else needs to know. It would just be, you know, us, that, as in myself, the class teacher, that would see it. So it's made very clear to children how it works. And yeah, and it's been interesting. We've had, you know, response from every child. They've obviously been sort of trained how to use it in school, but they know that they can access that sort of check-in email when it comes outside of school as well. They can do that at home. And what it does is it gives us a very quick snapshot as to how children are feeling. You know, we like the fact you can analyse, you know, what percentage are feeling happy, and, you know, but also being able to look at common things that may be troubling children. You know, the design of the programme means you can very quickly look at that. Again, it's following what I was saying about an early intervention programme. You know, this is a kind of starting level whereby a child can let us know how they're feeling. Now, in my role, I get to work, with children. I get to take them out of school, out of class, do one-to-one stuff. We've got over 400 children in school, and then there's me and sort of a couple of other people on this pastoral team. But even the best will in the world, we're not going to get around all 400 children, very easily, or at least, not very often. So by using something like Skodel, at least you give every child an opportunity to respond to you and to indicate if there's a problem. And then a quick analysis of the results that come in clearly then show if there's particular children you really do need to sort of go and then spend a bit of time with. So it's a good kind of early intervention. It's an early kind of warning system, actually. That's what I'm trying to say, an early warning system where you can quickly identify children. And the other thing is, it gives particularly the quieter children a voice, because they might not want to put their hand up and say anything in front of their friends. They may not feel that they want to just go and speak to a grown up, straight away. They might find that a bit daunting, however well they get on with their teacher or whoever. But by giving them an opportunity to say something, it's been amazing to see how many children have actually done that, and it's given them that voice.
I love that, the early warning signal. That is
early warning system.
That's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And it's really good to hear that every child has responded.
Like I say, in year 5 and 6, where we've rolled it out, I think because of the nature of, the fact it's obviously accessing email, it's needing to obviously be able to read the questions and understand how to respond. Certainly, some of our younger children could do that, but we felt that it was more appropriate for the older ones now, year 5 and 6. Lower down in the school, it's not that our younger children don't have an option of being able to say how they feel, but I think through things like circle time and other things, that's there for them. And then obviously as they get older, then there's this kind of bit more sophisticated way of, being able to sort of check in. And it offers that privacy, like I say, as well.
Perfect. So Maggie, if you were to kind of summarize where you see pupil-led mental health and well-being within schools now, where it is now and where you'd like to see it go in the future, what would be your overarching thoughts on that?
I think we would like to see children speaking very openly and comfortably about mental health. So in the same way that you might say to someone, how are you feeling today? Is your tummy better? Great. Or how are you feeling today because you were a bit sad last week? Yeah. We want to have those conversations where, and of course that is happening a lot, and it has happened for a long time. But for that to be for that to be embedded in everything that we do, the idea that talking about, how we're feeling in terms of mental health is, we want children to be as comfortable talking about that as they do about their physical health, and to recognise what their mental health is, what we're talking about when we ask that. So for that to be happening more would be good. And I think a little bit what I was saying about being able to offer in-house, kind of emotional support as and when it's needed. I think moving forward to see schools having people specifically there to sort of do that. I mean, of course, class teachers do it anyway. They do that through what they deliver every single day. We're not saying that a class teacher can't offer any kind of support. Of course they do. And what we do with Skodel that's quite important as well is when we set things up, we make sure each class teacher is able to access the children's responses as well, so they can see what's being said, as well as perhaps me as the pastoral lead.
Sure. And what do the teachers think of it? How have they found working with it?
They've really found it fascinating, actually, and really useful. So again, because it's all set up, it's not like they have to actually sort of do anything. They just need to look at the results when they come in and sort of monitor them. It's not massively increased their workload at all, and they have found it really useful to see what the responses are. So one example, I've obviously changed names, but in one of our classes there were 2 little girls, Emma and Beth, and both in their Skodel check-in said that the other was being really mean to them and upsetting them and making them feel sad. And the teacher was able to look at that. There'd been no indication that had been happening in the classroom or indeed on the playground, but the teacher was able to look at that get the two children together and say, oh, okay, so let's have a little bit of a chat. And as it turned out, there was just a bit of a misunderstanding, able to talk it through. Girls went off very happily, job done. But it was, had they not both said that, chances are the teacher would have missed that because it wasn't apparent. But it was quite funny, they both said it about the other. Other examples we've got are a number of children who, mention that their parents are divorcing or have divorced, and that's not something they have talked about at all in school. But they've chosen to, disclose that to their teacher, and then at least the teacher's aware of it. And it might not be that they necessarily then have a conversation, but with the teacher being aware that that's obviously something's on the child's mind, that clearly then feeds into the teacher, thinking about how to manage things for that child, and being aware that if they are particularly upset one day, well, there's a good reason behind it. So it all leads to better understanding between teacher and pupil, and sort of an enhanced, relationship there.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Maggie, for that wonderful insight into how Danesfield Primary